writing. Good morning. Dinig pa ako dyan sa likod. Umpisahan ko yung this is not actually paper, ilang guide ko yung dito sa presentation. I will talk about it from the old literary, I don't know kung traditional yun, but the old writers hanggang sa personal. Okay, please. Okay. Pillars of Pangasinan Literature. Sige lang. Okay. This is Pablo de Guzman Mejia. Ito yung culprit kung bakit wala kaming writers ngayon sa Pangasinan. Kasi kinuha na niya lahat ng title. Playwright, poet, painter, composer, father of Pangasinan language, prince of Pangasinan poets, Balagtas of the North. Sino ba yung makakatawag sa kanya, no? No? One, although he is also a Zarzuelista, no, in Pangasinan language, pero tanggalin na lahat yung Zarzuelas niya, tanggalin na yung Pangasinan grammar. Isa lang na work niya ang pwedeng i-ano sa kanya na hindi na namin siguro mapapantayan. Bilight ang Kalkalat ng Rizal, the life and works of Jose Rizal. No? This is in poetry form, pero he talk about the life and works of Rizal. Okay? From the 1920s, from 1912 to 1920s, he organized the Zarzuelistas in Pangasinan and they called themselves the Awiran of Pangasinan, Academy of Pangasinan Letters. Okay? Next, please. This is another playwright and poet, Pedro Sison. He is known for his long pictures poem, Bilay kay Sisira at Dalog na Tanong. When it comes to children's literature, ito yung hindi namin mapapantayan. Isang libro lang yung nasa pangalan niya, pero it's the best in Pangasinan language. He's also a Katipunero. Next. Maria Magsano, writer, novelist, editor of Silaw magazine from 1936 to 1948, founder of Pangasinan Courier, novelist in Pangasinan language. He can also write in Japanese. He is championed the women's suffrage in Pangasinan and he was given the Presidential Medal in 1966. She studied and taught in PNU, Philippine Normal Council. Siya rin yung culprit kung bakit walang novelista sa Pangasinan. Hindi kami makapagsulat, it's because of her. Because they have that standard. Kasi pagdating sa nobelang Pangasinan, siya na yun. No? Parang nahihirapan yung mga nobelista namin na abutin yung narating nila. No? That's according to the young writers today. Okay, next please. Contemporary of Maria Magsano is Juan Villamil. No? Silang dalawa lang during their time from the 1930s to the 1960s. And then yung mag-contemporary sa Rosa Magno, I think you're familiar with Rosa Magno, yung mga taga-UP. Pero nagsulat si Rosa Magno yung Pangasinan language in her later life na. No? Yunarda Carrera, or Seco Yunarda Carrera is our short story writer. Pero she started the chick literature in Pangasinan language. Young adults. Siya yun. Linda Andaya Group, short story writer. And Sergio Bumadilla is a poet and short story writer, novelist also. So ito yung tanong ni Ma'am last time. Most of our writers are in the past are women. So natingga sa kanila yung Pangasinan literature. Next please. After 1950s, 1960s to the 1990s, walang nagsulat. Parang tumahimik. It's like, walang nag-publish. Fortunately, 1992 lumabas yung anthology ng Annie, published by the Cultural Center of the Philippines. The problem with this collection, kung saan-saan lang nila pinapubuhay yung mga writers. No? Hindi kilala. It's like, okay, merong submission, mag-submit kayo ng tula. The only writer na included here na talagang nasusulat ng Pangasinan is Linda Andaya and Roseco, our short story writers. Fortunately yun. But when it comes to poetry, wala. No? Parang, they got it from students, they got it from kaibigan, at porque merong sinulat na tula, so they included it. Which is okay naman, at least magkaroon ng anthology. No? I'm very thankful for Marot Flores for this one because ito yung dahilan kung bakit nasulat ako ng tula. Okay? Next please. Ito yung reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng decline sa Pangasinan language and Pangasinan literature. According to Dr. Maria Crisantana Flores, in recent times, vernacular writers dwindled in number as more and more Pangasinan writers educated and exposed to foreign literatures and periodicals shifted to English. And if I may say, Filipino. No? So yung mga young writers that attempt sa Pangasinan during the 1960s to, I think, 2000, ang attempts nila purely in English and Filipino. Next please. But prior to that, it's purely economic survival versus cultural identity. According to Father Fidel Amorio, in his book, Pangasinan History and Literature in 1970, starting since the uprising of Cerati in 1816, Ilocos settlers were coming to Pangasinan, especially to the barrios of the boundary towns. This gave origin to the strange phenomenon that many Pangasinanes or Pangasinenses gave up their language for the language of those who came to make a living among them. The Pangasinan folks, pagdating ng mga Ilocano, because ang economic language is Ilocano, so they have to learn that. Nakipag-trade sila sa mga Ilocanos. Eventually, naapektuhan pati yung salita nila sa bahay. The periphery of Pangasinan was affected. Eastern Pangasinan, for example. So, naging Ilocanized. And when they report that, they would not say, I'm from Pangasinan. I'm Pangasinan. They would say, I'm Ilocano. But they spoke the language. Pangasinan language. Okay, next please. The advocacy now, no? When it comes to Pangasinan literature, ito na yung parang naging advocacy ko. Next. Year 2000, nung nandito na ako sa Manila niya, no? Napansin ko kapag nag-search ako sa Google, you cannot find any Pangasinan writings online. Wala, kahit isa. Makikita mo lang, ang nakita ko lang doon is yung translation of Ama Namin sa Pangasinan. Yun lang yun. Pag nag-search kayo about Pangasinan poetry, Pangasinan short story, o Pangasinan literature in general, nothing. Zero. So what I did was, there was a program ng UNESCO na nag-invite sila ng mga, it's about multilingualism. So I created a website. I submitted it to UNESCO, yung multilingualism niya. Next please. I created the website Makata. No? It ran for 10 years. What I did with Makata is that I encourage Pangasinan, young Pangasinan writers to submit their works to me, email, and we put it online. And then eventually, I expanded it into other Philippine languages. So, yung mga young writers before, I think 10 years ago, this is, I think 2001. No? Kilala ko na yung mga from the regions because of the Makata. They submitted their works. Yung mga Visayan writers, they submitted sa amin yung Mindanao. Sina Mark Angeles, originally dito sila nag-submit before. No? And then eventually, since it is online, nababasa ng mga foreigners. Kasi hindi lang naman Philippine languages, sometimes there's English. So the foreign writers started to submit. So hindi ko naman mapanindihan, tinanggap ko na rin. So naging multilingual and international yung content. And even the foreign writers, sinasite nila yung Makata before. Eventually, after 10 years, hindi ko na kaya. Mag-isa na lang kasi ako nag-maintain ng website. I did not have any help. it's for my own personal advocacy. So, natigil siya. Okay, next. But then, because of that, napansin naman ng provincial government yung works na yung ginagawa ko. Napansin ng mga journalists in Pangasinan. So, they wrote about it. I was publishing books already. And then, I think 2012, when the governor asked me to attend one of their meetings and tanong niya sa akin, what do you want? So I told him, sir, may problema tayo sa language, may problema tayo sa literature. So ano yung gusto mo? Sabi ko, I need funds for workshop, I need funds for contest. So sinabi ko sa kanya, we do not have contests like the Palanca. So he funded it. The following year, that year, actually, no, that was 2011, 2012, nag-umpisa na kagad yung literary contest. Sinubukan lang namin yung kung ano na yung state ng kung sino-sino yung mga nagsusulat. So we had a call for submissions. Unfortunately, wala pang workshop at the time. No? Hindi pa ako nag-organize ng workshop. Contest kaagad ang nangyari. So I think from poetry, short story, children's lit, an essay, kabataan essay. Yun. Ginaya ko yung format ng Palanca. So merong response. Most of them are oldies. No? Sa kabataan essay, high school students, and some college students. Ang problem ko doon is the language, yung gamit ng language. Orthography. Iba-iba ang orthography. The old writers use the Spanish orthography and the young ones use my orthography. Yung ginagamit ko modern orthography. So may problem. So sabi ng provincial government, we should do something about it kasi we're supposed to select the best writings. So the following year, we tried workshop. But it's an informal workshop. Based doon sa mga hindi nanalo, yun ang workshop namin. No? So yun ang naging tradition. For pagkatapos ng contest, yung mga non-winning works, yun ang winning workshop. Pagkatapos ng contest, it only ran for, I think, 6 years. No, last year, 2017 yung last na contest. And then napalitan yung governor. Hindi ko nakita yun, no? Hindi ko na-foresee yung ano na yun. I was very confident that they would make the funding permanent. So this year, 2018, walang contest. No? Ang sabi ng anak, yung bagong governor, we'll do it like every 3 years yung contest. Sabi ko, bakit? Sabi ko siya, sir, bakit po? Kasi palagi na rin ang nanalo sabi niya. Hindi naman po ito beauty pageant. Every year mapalitan natin yung winners. Talagang the best yung napipili natin. So, okay lang, no? So, every 3 years, fine with me. Siguro in between magkakaroon ng workshop. Kaya lang, definitely yung workshop namin, hindi yun yung siguro katulad ng National Writing Workshop. Because I copied it from the Cordillera lang. And I have to select the best writers in Pangasinan. Hindi ko na sila pinapasali. Although, gustong-gusto nila sumali sa contest. Kasi ang laki ng premyo. No, you judge. So, naging diktador ako doon. Okay, next please. So, we came out with an anthology of Pangasinan winning works. Ito yung pinagmamalaki namin ngayon na ginagamit nila sa elementary. Kasi merong children's literature. Ang ginagamit na rin nila sa 21st century digital writing sa high school. Supposedly, merong second book nito but the funding nga naantala. So yung pangalawang winning works, yung batch, hindi pa napapublish. We have the manuscript. Okay. Next please. Ito lang yung mga pictures from Kurit Pandongana. We called our contest Kurit Pandongana. Next. Yung last batch ng mga nanalo. Please, next please. Okay, publishing and publications. This is the problem, I think, sa mga maliliit na lingwahe. When I came up with my first collection, ako na yung nag-publish. Ginaya namin ang mga Ilocanos. I got a fund from the provincial government, so pina-review ko sa isang Pangasinan expert, kay Maron Flores, but Dr. Mora Flores is not a literary person, so may problema pa rin. Hindi ko alam kung kanino ko ibibigay yung manuscript ko para lang ma-review. So when she said go, that's it. So pinabish ko yung first book. And eventually nag-evolve yung book na yun, na napunta sa Lasal, yung 100 Years ng Lasal. When Cirilo Bautista, kilala ko na siya noon, sabi niya sa akin, why don't you submit dun sa Lasal? And Sagani Cruz also told me, you give me your manuscript, Pangasinan and English. So I gave it, and then eventually, since the English was translated into Spanish, sabi ni Sagani Cruz, sige, lagay mo na yun. So naging halo-halo. So this is my first book na published by a university. Okay. Next, please. And then the rest is history. Napunta sa Amazon, lahat ng Pangasinan. So the problem, again, sa marketing. No? Okay, may market sa Pangasinan ng literary works, but then ang malakas is outside. Yung mga nag-abroad na, ang mahal pagpapadala ko from the Philippines. So what I did was, I came out with an online version. For example, I posted it on Amazon. So order na lang nila doon. And
E-books yan.
yeah, e-book and print. They can order e-book and print. So they love the print thing. So yun, malakas yung Malagil yun. Yung Malagil yun yung second book. So, ganun na nangyari. I was encouraged to put it online na lang pagdating sa mga Pangasinan works. Because my market is yung mga nasa abroad. Although may market dito, kaya lang mahal na pag dito mabibili sa Pilipinas. So, what I do is that I ask someone from abroad to buy the books for me and I sell it here in the Philippines. Baliktad. Okay, next please. And this one, after 10 years, we came up with another anthology of Pangasinan works. And one children's literature, meron na rin nag-attempt, come up with a children's lit. Okay. And another to this, I helped them publish. So parang ako yung naging publisher nila. This is the product of our literary contest and workshop. Pareho silang teachers. Poets and short story writers. So dalawa pa lang so far yung napupusuan ko. So I help them kasi they are really very good. Nakita ko yung potential sa kanila. So ako na yung tumulong para mag-publish. Okay, next please. And then what I did was that mahirap sa isang regional writer pag-isa. No? Wala akong wala akong literary father eh. Kung meron man, it's namatay na. Yeah. So what I did was I collaborated with some Pangasinan artists. We came out with Chris Guzom. I mentioned him yesterday. He's a filmmaker. When I met him at CCP, Tagalog films ang ginagawa niya. So why don't you try, sabi ko sa kanya, try Pangasinan films. So he did. After a year, when he was abroad, he asked me to translate the work of Carlos Pelusan, Landscape with Figures. Yung pala, mayroon na siyang project ng short film. And it came out with this one, Surreal Random MMS Text. Okay? Second film, go back please, is The Anak Bano. Ito na yung full-length film ng Pangasinan. But dito, ang tula pa rin ang ginamit namin. It's an experimental film. And it won him, the director, not me, a lot of awards. Okay, next please. So those are my collaborations. Thesis yan, next please. Collaboration with other poets from other countries, so I did that also. It's like you send them Pangasinan works translated into English, and then they will send you English works, and then I will translate it into Pangasinan, and then they will publish it there. So ganun na nangyayari. Okay, next. Transatlantic translations of the vernacular poetry, Pangasinan case. Ito yung parang natutuwa ko because of this, because before I gave up the Makata website, nagkaroon ako ng maraming kaibigan from abroad. No? And what they did was, they tried to translate yung mga works ko from English into their own language, and they publish it there. So I have a few of those, writing in different languages. This one is in Romania. Okay, next. This is the editor of California Quarterly. Siya yung translator to Spanish. She translated almost all of my works in English into Spanish and published them there. Okay, next. And most of my English works translated into Hindi. They released it in New Delhi Book Fair in 2013. Next. And the Arabic translator. I don't know kung bakit ganun. So, hinihingi nila yung manuscript, we translated into Arabic, and then they publish it there. And then napansin ng so there was some sort of an interview. Kasi they are not, I don't know, siguro mayroon na mga Filipino translated into Arabic, but sa university, for example, in Iraq and in Saudi Arabia, parang pag sa Southeast Asia, parang wala yung Pilipinas. So I think they use some of the translated. Nakita nila na mayroong Philippine poet translated into Arabic, and they use it sa universities. Okay, next. That's an Italian thing, so next please. But my problem is this, no? One time, nag-email sa akin si Vico Subo. Sabi niya, nakita ko yung works mo sa isang Hungarian collection. So it's very good na yun ang ginagawa mo sa akin. A week after that, ito yung sinulat niya. No? Globalization of information as an offshoot of the new media could have been the channel for making the literatures of other Philippine languages known globally. They do not have to be approved nor endorsed by the powerful critics of Manila. By translating these works to English and making them available in cyberspace, they could now be read by literary critics and outside the country. The majority of these works, however, have not earned the interest of these critics and readers. For this reason, one can say that the opportunities of having one's literary output known globally are more illusory. So my point din siya. So doesn't mean that pag translated po yung works mo, babasahin ka nun in that particular language. Meron siguro isa, dalawa, or yung translator. But it's a consolation to us, no? As regional writers, yung mga nagsusulat sa ibang Philippine languages. Kasi somehow mayroon yung sorry, iba naman yung case mo, no? Because you were writing in yung Inkinaraya. So somehow, yun, naging consolation ko yun. So kahit na sinabi ko ni I still love him, kahit na sinabi niya to, at least he said it in a workshop somewhere. So I still love him. Okay lang yun. At least, na-encourage pa rin kami, no, na magsulat. We continue writing. And when it comes to Pangasinan literature, parang passionate na, nandun na ako. No? So, I would really fight for it. So somehow, when it comes to language barriers, I think, parang wala na eh. Once it's translated into English, and then there it goes. Kahit anong lingwahe na yan. No? Yung baby mo wala na. So, then you let it go. Kaya ano na, nandun na eh. So, isa yun na palagi kong sinasabi sa mga nag-attempt na magsulat in other Philippine languages. Just do it. Once it's translated, importante ang definitely yung translations. We have so many works in Pangasinan, novels, still in pristine condition. Baka nga hindi pa nila nabubuksan. Hindi pa na-translate. And I cannot do it alone sa Pangasinan. I'm still waiting. For example, I have a manuscript of women writers, contemporary women writers. I could not publish it yet. Kasi gusto ko sana babae yung mag-edit nun. Gusto kong babae yung editor niya. So, nobody is willing to get it. So, nasa akin yung manuscript. Hopefully, maybe one of these days I'll publish it. And maraming project. Ang pinaka-project ko dito is yung Canon of Pangasinan Writings. Kasi wala pa kami. So, walang magamit actually sa college, for example. Hindi nila pinag-aralan yun. Even in 21st century literature, may problema tayo. Kung hindi pa lang sulat sa Pangasinan. But, we will get there. Hopefully. Okay. So, maraming salamat po.